What's up, Totem Pole Nation? This is Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today we're getting into the NFL Week 10 slate, giving our predictions, our picks, everything of that nature, plus a look at our playoff predictions midway through the season. We're going to look at what it looks like right now, and then we're going to look at what both of us have in mind for later down the line. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you want to support the boys by getting some merch. The link is in the ticker. It's totempolenation.com. Thank you to Sideline Sports Network for the platform. Let's get into it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, playoff picture. Playoffs is very, very important. It's week 10, obviously. There's 18 weeks of football. But here is the playoff picture as of right now. All right? Look at that AFC playoff picture. Look at these teams. It is stacked. AFC is more stacked than the NFC right now, to be honest with you. I mean, you got Kansas City and Baltimore at 7-2. You got Jacksonville at 6-2. You got 3 5-3 teams at Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. And then you got a Miami team that can't beat any teams above 500. That's the only reason why they're the number 4 seed. Philadelphia always number 1. Detroit, the number 2 seed right now, is surprising for right now. The 49ers coming off a bye and that 3-game losing streak, along with the Dallas Cowboys. They lost, but they played competitive against the Eagles. The Vikings are finding ways to win without Kirk Cousins, and the Saints are playing good because the defense in Seattle, of course, is Seattle. Let's look at the bottom 9 of this. So the first 7. You got Buffalo at 8, Houston at 9, LA Chargers at 10, maybe the Jets at 11. Who is going to squeeze in this playoff picture between 8 and 11? The only reason why I bring up the Jets is because if Aaron Rodgers comes back with a miracle injury or something like that, then the Jets could squeak in because the Buffalo Bills are not playing that well right now. And Miami can't beat nobody above 500.
Right, but one of those two teams are going to be in regardless because someone has to win the division. So, I mean, I think that the Bills have the best chance out of the teams that we're looking at. The Texans, that'd be a great story. I'd love if it happened, but it's just too unpredictable. We don't really know how long this, a roster that everybody thought was going to be another top 5 pick this year, which it's awesome that they're not and playing above expectations, but I don't know how long that's going to last. The Chargers, obviously, they have the talent, and this is kind of the position we see them in pretty frequently. The Jets, I see your point, but I think that's the least likely team out of the bunch. I'd say I think the Bills replace one of the AFC North teams.
Maybe Pittsburgh.
One of them. I would say Pittsburgh, yes, first before Cleveland, just because Cleveland's defense is better. But I wouldn't be surprised if both of them got bounced. But I feel like Cleveland is going to slide in with the 7 seed by the end of the year, just because that defense is winning them so many games. So here's okay. All right. So here's my list. So 1 and 2 is going to be, between Baltimore and Kansas City. I think those two stay there. You could flip them if you wanted to. I think Jacksonville stays as the winner of the South. I don't know whether or not I think Buffalo gets into the 4. No, I'm going to keep
I trust Buffalo over Miami.
Yeah, but they're having different issues, right? Miami, their defense has been the issue this year, but it's just getting better. And I understand that they just dropped another game, but it was to the number 1 seed, so I'm not ready to bury them just yet. Their defense is getting better, and that was their problem. whereas the Bills' problem is the offense is, inconsistent and the defense is very hurt. The defense isn't really getting healthier, and the offense, we haven't seen it make many strides of being more consistent. So that's why I think I'm going to keep Miami at the 4. I'm going to keep 1 through 4 just how it is. And like maybe you could flip Jacksonville and Miami as the 3 and 4 seed. And then I think Cincy will be the 5 seed. Give me Buffalo at the 6 and the Browns at the 7.
I'm going to go with Ravens 1 seed, Kansas City 2 seed, Jacksonville 3, Miami 4. I'm going to go with Bengals at 5. This will shock you. Chargers at 6. And maybe 7, I'm going to go Cleveland or New York.
Oh, the Bills are just missing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. Ravens at 1, Chiefs at 2, Jacksonville at 3, Miami at 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock off Pittsburgh, put Buffalo at 5, Cincinnati at 6, or I could put Cincinnati at 5, Buffalo at 6, and I'm gonna have to put the Chargers at 7.
All right, so we got basically the same list, except for I have the Browns, you have the Chargers.
What about
now that I say that out loud, I don't know if I want to. Yeah.
Washington at 8, Atlanta at 9, Tampa Bay at 10, Green Bay at 11. Now, I don't think Green Bay and Tampa Bay are going to do anything, so I think it's going to be between Washington and Atlanta. And, of course, I picked the Rams to go to the playoffs, but I think they're just the two bottom down just with the Matthew Stafford injury. They signed Carson Wentz, but I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be.
Yeah, scroll up a little bit. Yeah, because I think this is realistically the only teams you really need to see. Obviously, the AFC is a lot deeper. So here, I think I'll probably keep Philly at the 1. Detroit probably stays at the 2, honestly. San Fran would stay there, and then it's between whether or not you trust the Saints or the Falcons more long term. Yeah, I know. So but that's the decision between, whether or not you think who's the 4 seed, because it's going to be someone from the South. So I would put the money on the Saints for sure, but the Vikings are a little iffy to me. I think Dallas will be the 5 seed by the end of the year. And then Seattle, you got to trust them that they'll keep winning. So Seattle is going to be, I think, 1 through 4 stay. I switched Dallas into the 5 seed, Seattle at the 6. And then give me the Falcons.
All right, I'm going to give you Eagles at 1, San Fran at 2, Detroit at 3, Saints at 4, Dallas at 5, Seattle at 6, Minnesota's out putting Washington in the playoffs. That's my
that was my prediction at the beginning of the year. I thought the Commanders were going to get it in, but similar to some of the other teams we were talking about, I just don't know which Commanders team we're getting game in and game out. Like one game, Sam Howell looks like the next MVP of the league, and then another game he looks like, a 4th-round quarterback. So,
but also with the Falcons, they're rotating between Heineke and Ritter now. Like Heineke's named the starter, but it's like Arthur Smith don't know whether he's still gonna give Ritter reps or they're in rotation as well. When you play a 2-quarterback system, it doesn't really do them a favor, especially if Bijan Robinson is not really running the ball like consistently with the injuries, and then also with their main wide receiver can't be Jonnu Smith. I mean, they got Drake London. I get all that, but it's just the turnovers for the Falcons have been very, very, very inconsistent. So, I mean, it just comes down to that. Houston versus Cincinnati. This will be a good game. Don't sleep on these teams at all. Houston and C.J. Stroud have surprised a lot of people, especially with that 470 yards passing over the Bucs. Now, obviously, the Cincinnati Bengals have been on a roll. They're at home again. I'm taking the Bengals in a very, very close game. But their defense has been very good. But also, Houston's defense under DeMeco Ryans is top 10. And the offense can throw the ball pretty well. The Bengals offensively are still at the bottom tier. They're getting back healthier. But fourth quarter crunch time, we've seen C.J. Stroud make some splashes. I'm going with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I just don't see how the momentum could be shut off, but they have to play turnover-free football against this Houston Texans defense that's in the top 10.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, when you look at the talent, it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I think both defenses are going to show up, and I think this is just going to be a battle. I'm seeing it like, 24-21. I'm going with the Bengals as well. I just trust Joe against this defense that I acknowledge is good. And, when you look at defenses that have been hot the past few weeks, there's really not a hotter defense than Cincinnati. So I do understand CJ just had a great week, and he's been the rookie of the year all year, no doubt. So I'm not, taking that away from him at all. It's just both quarterbacks are going to have to be playing some pretty tough defenses. Who do I trust more in this position? Joe Burrow.
All right, Saints versus the Vikings. This is one of those games where both teams are 5-4, but Josh Dobbs has played tremendous, and he barely knew the playbook. In this game, the Saints, you don't know what you get out of them offensively, even though they won by 7 against the Bears last week. I mean, you don't know what you get out of them offensively. The run game isn't as great with Alvin Kamara and Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator. It's kind of mid. The Saints' defense is tremendous. This is why they have a winning record right now. Even though Dennis Allen's job is somewhat on the line this year, Taysom Hill at the tight end position, I did have to pick him up on fantasy. He will make a huge difference in the passing game. I'm going to go with the Saints in a very close one. Don't sleep on the Vikings. So Josh Dobbs will make some magic. The only way you stop Josh Dobbs is to keep him in the pocket. So that's the Saints' strategy against the Vikings. Keep Dobbs in the pocket. If he rolls out, he's in trouble. Because the Vikings ain't got no run game besides Josh Dobbs. So we got to keep him in the pocket. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Saints as well. It's just that defense is making up a lot for what the offense really can't do every week. Oh, I'm frozen. That sucks. All right. Well, can you still hear me?
No, you black and froze, I guess.
All right. Well, you keep going. I'll try to fix this.
All right. So, with the Saints and Vikings game, obviously, I have concerns for the Vikings just because they do not have a run game on offense. Last week, their main rusher was Josh Dobbs. Now, I understand there's a lot of things that's going on with this Vikings organization. With Josh Dobbs he just came and got traded from the Cardinals. and they massively won. But the main rusher is Madison, but also Cam Akers is out for the rest of the season with the injury, and then Justin Jefferson will be coming back this week. So I mean, Josh Dobbs will have somebody to throw to, but just looking at it from a perspective, I trust New Orleans Saints. Now, Derek Carr, they have to get that run game going with Alvin Kamara. It will not be easy. So it just comes down to the play calling to Pete Carmichael, like I said earlier. So I'm going to go with the Saints. Obviously, he's probably going to go with the Saints as well once he comes back. Now, the next game that I'm going to go into is the Green Bay Packers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. In this game, it's played at Lambeau Field, or not Lambeau Field, excuse me. Wrong correction. It's played at home in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go, despite Green Bay and Jordan Love, their inconsistencies on offense the whole entire time, I am going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. The defense, I'm not really sold on the Green Bay Packers offense. I'm still not sold on Matt Canada offensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. But I do trust their defense. Their defense is going to make Jordan Love a living hell, especially that offensive line. They still need to work. The Green Bay Packers don't really have receivers besides Christian Watson and whatnot whatsoever. So in this game between the Packers and the Steelers, I am going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game as well. Next game I'm going to take is the Tennessee Titans versus the Bucks. Tennessee Titans are starting Will Levis the rest of the season. Tampa Bay started off 3-0 and dropped 5 games straight. Now, the offense can't run the ball. The offense for the Buccaneers can't run the ball at all. The 31st in rushing. Their defense is mid-tier. It's like in the mid-20s for defense. They can throw the ball very well with the weapons that they have. I'm going to go with the Titans to win this game. I do trust Ryan Tannehill is on the bench, so there's a little frustration here and there, but I think I have the most high up confidence of Will Levis being able to do something very special for this Titans team to provide a spark. Their defense has improved and got a little bit better defensively. They can't stop the pass or anything, but their run defense is very, very consistent and very well. If they can get the ball to Derrick Henry and actually run it. Also, he does trade some carries with Spears as well, but DeAndre Hopkins is actually getting some catches involved more of Will Levis than he did with Ryan Tannehill. And I do think that Ryan Tannehill's career is over after this season, so he might be going somewhere else. He either might retire, or if there's another team of free agency that moves on or that picks Ryan Tannehill up, which I don't know who and what that is. But in this game, I'm going to go with the Titans to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next game we'll go to is Atlanta versus Arizona. Arizona has Clayton Tune as starting quarterback. Also, the Atlanta Falcons have Taylor Heineke at quarterback as well. Now, Taylor Heineke probably won't be the main starter going forward, but with Arthur Smith in his third season and his job somewhat on the line, somewhat on the hot seat, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Their defense has kept them in games. The Arizona Cardinals are basically tanking. They're trying to rebuild for one of the top picks. When you trade in Josh Dobbs, you got Clayton Tune. I'm not sure what type of Arizona Cardinals team you're going to get. They fought, but they didn't really compete last week against the Browns. They scored 0 points. This is Jonathan Gannon's first year as the head coach at 1-8. So he has a long way to go to rebuild his Arizona program. They don't have an offense, but you have a defensive coach. Atlanta Falcons with Bijan Robinson, Johnny Smith, and Drake London, obviously. That's a great roster right there. With Taylor Heineke not going to turn the ball over as much as Desmond Ridder, I'm going to go ahead and take the Atlanta Falcons to win this game to beat the Arizona Cardinals. There's not really much to say about the Arizona Cardinals going forward. Next game as well, I am going to take is Detroit versus the Chargers. All right, this game is a must-watch. Detroit is number 2 seed in the NFC. The Chargers are finding ways to win in games, but also Brandon Staley's job is safe for right now. Now, Justin Herbert didn't really play his best game against that Jets defense, obviously. So in this game, it's going to be very, very tough. I was about on and off with this pick. The Chargers have a great offense. Their first-year offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. They have weapons. They got Keenan Allen. They got Austin Eckler. Josh Palmer, I don't think, played last week. Mike Williams was out with a torn ACL earlier this season. The Chargers defensive line is great. Their secondary is beyond awful. So I don't know what to tell you as far as that perspective. So in this game, I trust the Lions in that run game with David Montgomery and also Jahmyr Gibbs. Amari St. Brown obviously has made a big impact, and also Jared Goff. He's resurrected his career. So in this game, I am going to go ahead and take the Detroit Lions to beat those Chargers. It's just very tough for me to pick the Chargers because I understand they're at home. I don't know what type of Chargers team we're going to get. So I just don't trust them defensively. I don't know what to really tell you as far as that. But I am going to go with the Detroit Lions. Next game we're going to get into is the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me, this is a game you really do not want to watch. You don't want to watch this. As far as that game, they do not have Daniel Jones, who is out with the torn ACL. They don't have Tyrod Taylor as well because he's hurt as well. And then also one thing, they have Tommy DeVito that is starting against that Dallas Cowboys defense. Yeah, that's tough. Tommy DeVito versus the Dallas Cowboys defense just doesn't solve a lot of things. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they did come off their loss. They came off their loss against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are literally the best team in the NFC. I get it. The Dallas Cowboys are going to do something. They're going to destroy them. This game between New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys will not be close at all. It's probably a game you really don't want to watch. All right, it's not worth watching your time, especially if you're a Giants fan. Y'all, sorry. Now, I send the best and wishes of prayers to Daniel Jones. Hopefully he is healthy in the future. But you drafting Daniel Jones as the quarterback is the biggest bust in all of NFL history. You're paying that man too much money. You were so worried about, Saquon getting hurt that your own quarterback got hurt, but you didn't guarantee your running back a long-term contract. Like I said multiple times, I'm going ahead to the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott played a great game. But if you had Tommy DeVito versus Dak Prescott, it's nowhere near a quarterback matchup. I'm going ahead to the Dallas Cowboys to win this one. It's just the Giants just suck. Next game, Washington versus Seattle. The Commanders beat my Patriots, obviously, but what type of offense you're going to get is what Matt Pat said. What type of Commanders team you're going to get offensively? Their defense is still ranked last in the league, but they can throw the ball. They're throwing the ball is 6th in the league, but when it comes to Seattle defense, their defense has improved, but their offense does continue to struggle in all different ways. In this game, when I put the bets in, I put Washington +6. So Washington will probably lose this game in a tight environment at Seattle. Seattle's a pretty loud stadium, obviously. Sam Howell said the loud stadium was the Virginia Tech Hokies and Enter Sandman, which is much appreciated because I do agree with that. Sam Howell's played tremendously, but he does turn the ball over frequently. But they got Brian Robinson Jr., who can run the ball as well, Terry McLaurin, Josh Dotson. They can do some things, but also Seattle does have DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba and Kenneth Walker III. But if Geno Smith turns the ball over, there'll be some trouble. I think Seattle does bounce back after a 37-3 blowout against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go ahead and take the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Washington Commanders. Next game is the New York Jets versus the Las Vegas Raiders. You have Antonio Pierce as the interim head coach after Josh McDaniels firing. You have a Jets team that is very, very inconsistent on offense with Zach Wilson. But also the Jets obviously have a good defense. But how long can the defense hold up for the offense? They're ranked 32nd in passing, 32nd on offense. They're just bottom tier. They can run the ball. That's the only way why the Jets don't have a losing record. They have a record that's 500 at 4-4. The Raiders are at home. They got Aiden O'Connell starting at quarterback. I am going to go ahead and take the Raiders to win this game. I'm not sure what type of Zach Wilson we're going to get. Obviously, Zach Wilson is a bum, and he's not good. He is a bust, just like Baker Mayfield was. And all other quarterbacks like Jamarcus Russell. I can go on and on and on about it all day long. When it comes to the Raiders, Devontae Adams will get the ball. Josh Jacobs will get the ball just because you have a new system, new fresh culture. I believe in Antonio Pierce. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the head coach next year. But when it comes to these Jets, I mean, you got Garrett Wilson as your leading receiver. You have Breece Hall, and you have, Zach Wilson as your next, rushing. It's just not much they can do offensively. Where's Dalvin Cook? I mean, you haven't really used him very well. So, I mean, there's a lot of frustration going on with the running back room. You're not using Dalvin Cook enough. The only positive behind that is when is Aaron Rodgers going to come back? Will he come back in December, which is around maybe like week 14, week 15, maybe somewhere around December, and then try to push that to the playoffs? I'm not sure. So in this game, I'm going to take the Raiders to win this game. I'm just not sure what type of Jets team we're going to get offensively. Now, the final game, Monday night game, obviously it's Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills. The Denver Broncos last game, they did beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, surprisingly, their defense. I don't like Russell Wilson. They're ranked bottom and second to last in defense. They're bottom tier in offense. They can run the ball very well. It's in mid-20s as far as running the ball. They're 16th rushing, 28th passing, 31 on defense, and 26 on offense. Buffalo Bills are ranked offensively 3rd and 4th, but their only receivers they go to is really Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis is not getting any touches. Buffalo did struggle against the Bengals Sunday night. I'm going to go ahead and take the Buffalo Bills to win this game low-key. It's just very tough for me to pick the Broncos because Russell Wilson, despite him only having 4 interceptions, with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, they're not getting as much touches. They can run the ball very well with Devontae Williams, obviously, but with Sean Payton trying to build that new system, it's just very, very, very hard for me to really pick this Denver Broncos team, especially their defense that gave up 70 points against the Miami Dolphins. It's just hard for me to trust them. Can they make this a game? Yes. With the injuries that Buffalo is suffering on defense, they can make this a game. I'm not sure if they will make this a game, but with Josh Allen being off and on with the turnovers and the missed throws and here and there, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I understand Josh Allen's been struggling, but I don't trust the Denver Broncos or Russell Wilson. I don't think it's a great fit. Maybe I'm wrong later in the future, but as of right now, I get it that Sean Payton is trying to rebuild a program. He's a good coach, especially what he did with the Saints. But it's just hard for me to really, 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 really predict that the Broncos are going to upset the Bills. The only way they'll do that unless you force Josh Allen to have 3 interceptions, which that may or may not happen. This is it for NFL Week 10 preview plus the midseason playoff predictions. We will catch you next week for all the coverage of college football and NFL. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Total Pole Nation. We need your merch. Go to TotalPoleNation.com. This is Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. We will catch you. Y'all have a great weekend. You take care of yourselves. Thank you, Silent Sports Network, for giving us the platform. But this is it for NFL Week 10 predictions. We will follow up on Monday and let you know what happens. Peace out. Y'all have a great night.